30, A Fall to Remember. Jackie's POV. Last night was unbearable. I couldn't stop thinking about her avoiding me. My mood was completely off, so I skipped dinner and ended up sleeping late. But the constant vibration of my phone pulled me out of my restless sleep. "Who the hell is this?" I groaned, grabbing my phone without even checking the caller ID. I didn't want to strain my sleepy eyes. "Who is it?" I asked, my voice laced with irritation. "Are, it's me, sir." The way the voice dragged out, "sir," instantly told me who it was. Balram. Clenching my teeth, I asked, "What do you want now, Balram?" "Sir, it's already 6:30 a.m. "So what? That happens every damn morning, Balram," I snapped. "But today's Saturday, sir." I'm standing near the bus. It's already here in our colony. Everyone's arrived, and most of them have taken the best window seats. I can't hold one for you much longer. They're going to kill me. "Sir, you need to hurry up. The bus leaves sharp at 7 and..." He just kept rambling. Huffing in frustration, I pulled the phone away from my ear and tossed it onto the bed. I can't deal with this much nonsense first thing in the morning. I tried to go back to sleep, but then his words hit me. Oh, the trip. The symbol of love. And of course, Lavanya. I shot out of bed and rushed into the bathroom. After getting ready in record time, I downed a glass of juice, grabbed my phone, and headed out of my duplex. Locking the door, I slipped the key into my right jeans pocket. Just as I turned towards the bus, my eyes landed on her. She was stepping out of her building with her friend, completely absorbed in searching for something in her handbag. Her wet hair clung to her shoulders, and she wore a vibrant, colorful dress that made her look absolutely breathtaking. I slowed my steps. She glanced up at me for a fleeting second before quickly shifting her gaze to her friend, who had clearly captured her attention. I looked away too, continuing towards the bus parked right in front of the main gate. As soon as I arrived, every employee greeted me with a chorus of good mornings. I simply responded with curt nods and a slight twitch of my lips. "Welcome, sir," Balram beamed. "Morning, Balram." "You're late, sir. All the ladies and other employees have already claimed their seats." He pulled a dramatic face. "What's up with him today?" "Wow, that's such a tragedy, Balram. Truly devastating." "You don't understand the Indian reservation policy, sir. Window seats are prime real estate for travel," he declared, and I couldn't help but chuckle. "Relax, Balram. There's another bus, remember? You said there were two?" He didn't reply. Instead, he subtly tilted his head to the right, gesturing towards the second bus parked just ahead of the first one. Curious, I stepped forward to see what he was pointing at. The moment my eyes landed on it, they widened in shock. What the hell? The other bus was already packed, and now dangerously overloaded. At that exact moment, I spotted Lavanya's friend practically dragging her past me towards the first bus, like an overprotective mother. Without hesitation, I followed them inside.
Lavanya's POV. As planned, we were supposed to be ready by 6 a.m., but today I was running late. By 6:25, Ruhi was already banging on my door, shouting my name while I was still drying my hair with a towel. "Phil? Lavi, are you still sleeping? Wake up!" Oh my god, her voice is worse than a loudspeaker. Rolling my eyes, I walked towards the door and pulled it open without bothering to look at her. "Can't you shout a little louder so even the people on the 5th floor can hear you?" I remarked sarcastically. She barged in and immediately started her lecture. "I can't believe this. You're still drying your hair? What is wrong with you?" I ignored her and continued rubbing my hair with the towel. "Let's go," she shrieked, snatching the towel from my hands and tossing it onto the couch before grabbing my wrist and pulling me along. "Wait, I don't have my dupatta or my handbag," I protested, making her stop. "Fine, but hurry up. You have exactly 15 seconds," she ordered, glancing at her wristwatch with a warning expression. Panicked, I rushed around the room. I quickly draped the wet towel over the wooden chair's headrest, threw on my stole, and slung my handbag over my shoulder. Snatching up my apartment key, I hurried back to Ruhi. The moment I reached her, she latched onto my arm and pulled me outside. I locked the door and stuffed the key into my handbag. As we headed downstairs, Rui kept rambling about the bus arrangements and the importance of punctuality. But I wasn't really listening. I was too busy rummaging through my handbag, searching for my earrings. Just as I finally found them in one of the inner pockets, I sighed in relief and looked straight ahead, only to find him standing in front of his duplex, staring directly at me. My heart skipped a beat. Ruhi's voice suddenly snapped me out of it. "Key, look, I'm taking the window seat," she declared. I quickly tore my gaze away from him, refocusing on her. I didn't want my mind to get tangled up in thoughts about him right now. "And if you want one too, you'd better hurry," she added. She still hadn't let go of my arm, and as I glanced ahead, I saw Mr. Dawson walking towards the gate. He was dressed in ink blue jeans and a tinted blue t-shirt with bold block letters that read, "Cheer, caution, sexy packs below, proceed at your own risk." Over that, he wore a brown leather jacket with way too many non-functional zippers. He looked so good, and "Stop it," my inner voice snapped, silencing my wandering thoughts. Ruhi practically made me sprint with her. By the time we reached the buses, we saw that both were already full, every seat reserved by someone else. "See, this is exactly what I was afraid of," Ruhi huffed in frustration. "It's okay, Ruhi, we can..." Before I could even finish my sentence, she ignored me completely and started dragging me towards the bus. Without another word, we climbed in and headed straight for the back seats. "Hey, yo!" Ruhi suddenly stopped and started yelling at one of the nerdy male employees, catching everyone off guard. "Shame on you! We ladies are standing here and you're sitting there like you own the bus." "Ruhi, what are you doing?" I whispered through gritted teeth from behind her. But, as usual, she completely ignored me. "I had reserved this seat, so get up now, if you have even a shred of respect for women left in you," she demanded, her tone provocatively challenging. I mentally face-palmed. She is impossible. Without uttering a word, the poor man stood up and moved away. I felt bad for him. Ruhi, on the other hand, smirked proudly, winked at me, and then gestured toward the window seat with her eyes. Shaking my head, I sat down. "She's never going to change." "You shouldn't have done that, Ruhi," I muttered. "Oh, please, don't spoil my mood now," she said, rolling her eyes. I sighed and kept quiet. "Angry bull. Candy bar?" she suddenly offered, holding one out to me. I glared at her in disbelief. Before I could say anything, a voice interrupted us. "Hi, ladies." We turned to see Virat sir standing beside another seat. "Hi, sir," Ruhi greeted him. "Good morning, sir," I added. Lavanya, can I talk to you for a minute?" he asked, glancing at Ruhi. Sure, why not?" Ruhi answered for me, throwing me a mischievous smile while fluttering her eyelashes like butterfly wings. I swear I'm going to bite her someday. Rolling my eyes, I got up and walked past Ruhi, who immediately seized the opportunity to take the window seat. Standing in front of Virat sir, I noticed his eager expression. "I've been calling you since last night. Why didn't you pick up?" he whispered, making me glance at my phone screen in confusion.
Jackie's POV. As soon as I stepped onto the bus, my eyes landed on her. She was sitting with her friend, looking at a man who stood in front of them. Now, who the hell is that? I moved a little closer to see better. And then I heard his voice. "Bloody hell, not again. Talk to you for a minute, Lavanya," he was saying. Her friend replied excitedly, Sure, why not?" Lavanya rolled her eyes, but got up anyway, walking over to stand near that smiley idiot. "I've been calling you since last night. Why didn't you pick up?" he whispered, but it was loud enough for me to hear. Why the hell should she pick up your call, you bastard? She is my girl. Unfortunately, that smiley-headed fool was blocking my view, so I couldn't see her face. I just stood there, eavesdropping. I don't know, sir. I didn't get your call, she replied hesitantly. What are you saying? I called you at least 100 times, he exclaimed. 100 freaking times? Who the hell asked you to? Is this your number? She asked, probably showing him her phone. Yes, wait, you haven't saved my number yet? He asked, sounding almost offended. No, I had your number, sir. Did you call me from a new one? She questioned. No, I haven't changed my number. I've been using the same one for the last 6 years. Then how did it get deleted from my phone? She wondered aloud. The moment I heard that, a flicker of guilt passed through me, but then a surge of satisfaction followed. Good. Well, that was me, love. But you'll never find out, sweetheart. I smirked to myself, relishing the moment. Well, whatever. Just save my number now, and please do pick up when I call, he instructed. A sudden surge of anger rushed through me. I swear I had your number saved, but... She hesitated. I'm sorry, I thought some random guy was calling me for... So I didn't answer and put my phone on silent. I'm really sorry. It's okay, Lavanya. I understand how difficult it is to deal with unknown calls. Chill. Just make sure you save my number now. He chuckled. By the way, you're looking like Mumtaz today. She didn't respond, but I could feel my blood boiling. That sounded like a damn compliment. Who the hell is Mumtaz? Before I could fume any further, her friend suddenly interrupted them. Levi, I'm taking this window seat. You'll have to find another one for yourself. I mentally thanked her.
Lavanya's POV. While we were talking, Ruhi suddenly declared, Lavi, I'm taking this window seat. You'll have to find another one for yourself. But I knew her real intention. She's a devil. She wanted me to sit with Virat sir. Honestly, her obvious scheming made me feel a little embarrassed. Come, I'll find you a seat, Virat sir said, smiling at me. I smiled back. This is definitely going to be a very romantic trip, I guess. He led me to his seat by the window. You sit here. I'll be right back. I left my backpack in my car. Don't let anyone take my seat, he requested, gesturing toward the spot next to mine. I nodded and smiled in agreement. He then stepped out of the bus. The moment my eyes left him, they landed on someone else, a man smirking at me with a piercing gaze. He strode toward me and I instinctively looked away, shifting my gaze toward the window. But the moment I felt his body brush against my side, my eyes darted back to him. He was sitting next to me. What is he doing? This seat is reserved, sir, I informed him. But he didn't even glance my way. He simply stared straight ahead. Excuse me? He said, utterly indifferent. I said this seat is already reserved. So? He responded nonchalantly. So? Don't you even know what reserved means? I know, but I don't care. I've decided to sit here. He spoke so casually that irritation flared through me. Fine, I'll just leave then. I stood up, unwilling to waste time arguing with him, but before I could step away, he stretched his legs onto the back of the front seat, completely blocking my path. My mouth fell open in shock. How dare he? What are you doing? I asked, frowning. What am I doing? He echoed, feigning innocence. Sir, the way you're blocking me is bad manners. Okay, he sighed, finally putting his legs down. I attempted to move past him again, but just as I did, he stretched his arm across the backrest of the front seat, blocking my way once more. Is this man serious? Oh, I growled in frustration. He looked up at me with a cute smile. This man? Where is Virat, sir? Why isn't he back yet? Summoning all my courage, I grabbed his hands, attempting to move them away from the backrest of the front seat to clear my way. But he didn't budge. Frustrated, I began pulling at his hands with more force. They shifted slightly, and sensing this, he suddenly stood up in front of me, blocking my way entirely. "You're not going anywhere, Miss Lavanya," he declared. "Step aside, sir," I whispered, careful not to cause a scene in front of the other passengers. I tried to pry his right arm away from the steel rod of the seat back, but he gripped it tightly. Determined, I used my right hand to push against his right shoulder, hoping to weaken his hold. My sudden force made him bend backward, and he lost his balance. Panic shot through me. Instinctively, I grabbed his left arm to steady him, but his right hand, still clinging to the rod, slid downwards. At that precise moment, the bus lurched forward, robbing him of what little balance he had left. And just like that, he fell flat on his back. "What the?" He started to curse, but never finished. Unfortunately, my hands were still gripping him, and I lost my own balance. I tumbled forward, landing right on top of him. His hand, which had slipped from the rod, instinctively moved to support my back. And now, to my absolute horror, we were lying on the floor of the bus, wrapped in each other's arms. It had all happened so fast that I barely comprehended what had transpired. The bus came to a sudden stop. My eyes fluttered open, and I lifted my head from his chest. He too lifted his head slightly from the floor, staring at me with an infuriating smirk. I shot him a glare, but before I could say anything, his gaze shifted above my head. Almost immediately, his smirk disappeared, and he stiffened. Confused, I turned to see what had caught his attention. My eyes widened in horror. The entire bus, every single passenger, was staring down at us with open mouths. Some were standing, some were still seated, but all eyes were locked on the humiliating spectacle we had created. A thick silence filled the bus. Just imagine how mortifying this is. I slowly turned back to face him, and for once, he looked just as helpless as I felt. Regaining my senses, I struggled to get up, but the cramped space around us made it impossible to maneuver. Then my gaze landed on Virat sir. He was standing directly in front of me, clutching his backpack. My breath hitched. His expression was unreadable, but his chest rose and fell with heavy, controlled breathing. His eyes burned with unmistakable anger. "Of course he's angry. Just look at this ridiculous position you're in," my inner voice taunted. "Oh no." Panicked, I shook my head rapidly, trying to signal to him that this was just an accident, nothing more. I attempted once more to push myself up, but before I could, Mr. Dawson tightened his grip around me, pulling me even closer. I frowned at him in disbelief, but the devilish smirk creeping back onto his face told me everything I needed to know. He was doing this on purpose. He knew Virat sir was watching. Creepy American monster. Seeing us like this, Virat sir turned on his heel and stormed out of the bus without uttering a single word. He didn't even give me a chance to explain. "Sir," I called after him, but he was already gone. I squeezed my eyes shut in frustration. When I looked down, my gaze landed on the words printed on Dawson's shirt: caution. Sexy abs. Anger flared inside me. I snapped my eyes back to him, only to find him lying there completely relaxed, his head resting comfortably on the floor, like nothing had happened. I tried once again to break free from his firm grip, but he remained completely unfazed, lying there as if the bus floor were his personal mattress. Shameless. Frustrated, I gave his arm a light slap, but his leather jacket absorbed the impact. Annoyed, I started pounding his chest with both fists. Still, he didn't react, except for a muffled chuckle. "Let me go, you devil." "Love ye," I heard Ruhi's voice from above. "Here, Take my hand, I'll pull you up. She extended her hand and I grabbed it tightly. Finally, he loosened his grip and helped me up. Standing straight at last, I let out a deep sigh. Oh, thank God. He got up as well, casually dusting off his clothes as if nothing had happened. Are you okay, Lavia? Rui asked, her eyes scanning me for any sign of distress. I nodded. The bus jogged forward again, and everyone hurried back to their seats. Everyone except me, Ruhi, and Mr. Dawson. When a female employee attempted to take the window seat where Rui had been sitting, she immediately unleashed her inner villain. Hey you, that's my seat. Get up or I swear I'll throw up on you. The poor woman quickly moved to another seat, pressing her lips together nervously. Satisfied, Rui turned back to me with a smug grin. You can take my seat, Lavio. Before I could respond, Mr. Dawson interrupted. You take it, Miss Ruhi. She'll have this window seat. I don't need one. He gestured towards the seat beside him, where I had been sitting. Rui glanced at me, and I simply nodded, giving her silent permission to take her preferred seat. I don't want to ruin her trip. You've already ruined Virat sir's trip, my inner voice taunted. Annoyed, I shot Mr. Dawson a glare, grinding my teeth, but he only responded with an infuriating smile. Reluctantly, I slid into the window seat, and he took the spot beside me. Without hesitation, he shifted closer, pressing his body against mine. I didn't even have to look to know he was smirking wickedly. A slow, simmering fire burned within me. This is definitely not going to be a romantic trip. Not at all.